Hello everybody, it's Miranda here and I'm super excited to share a tutorial with y'all. I know that I have been a little slack on posting here on YouTube, but I do post on my blog and my Facebook regularly, so there will be links to that down below. Today's tutorial is all about using the brand new Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting and embossing machine that I just got from scrapbook.com. I will have links to every product I use in this tutorial down below for you to click on and go and grab if you feel like you need it. I highly recommend this die cutting machine. I've had the same one for 7 years, so I'm so excited to finally have a new one that is just so much better in my opinion. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of the machine here, and it's white in this rose gold accent color. It has a little handle that comes in and out, and then also the place where you roll your dies through. It closes and opens, which makes for very easy storage. So with the link I have down below, the version that I got of this, I got all these extra cutting plates with it, like the that one right there, which is the extra embossing plate, and then that one right there, which is the regular embossing plate, and then just your regular standard plates. So I am using the Twirling Vines die here. You're going to see me put it through, and I have learned that facing them upward tends to cut a little better, and I always run it through twice. It's just a habit, I think, because my machine was so old, but you really don't need to do that. It's just kind of like my way of doing it. So I did that, and then I'm grabbing my tool-in-one, which has changed the way I am die cutting forever. Like, it just makes it so easy to die cut with this thing right here. All those intricate dies that we have, it's no longer a concern because it just gets all of those little nooks and crannies out very easily. So that is what we're creating right there, are those little pumpkins. So I'm going to show you how we're going to create those. What I did is I die cut 10 of each piece of paper, like out of each pattern piece of paper. I cut 10 of those twirling vines, and what I'm doing now is I'm just wrapping them around something round. I'm using a paint bottle there, and then I'm cutting that little excess edge off of that die because I wanted it to not have that overlapping, and every other one I die cut that. I hand cut that with scissors. I hope that makes sense. So every other one has that little extra nib kind of cut off so that everything kind of nests together very well. So I'm going to curl all of those until they're all nice and done, all 10 of them, and then we're going to connect them using brads, which is very easy to do. I'm sure you've seen people do this with regular strips of paper. I've done tutorials on these. I may link that down below, an older video just using regular paper that I did for Graphic 45 years ago. But I decided to use these dies in a different way and just try to come up with something that was, you know, not typical, and to show that you can use these dies in so many ways. You don't have to get just holiday dies to do holiday crafting or, you know, things like that. We have to stretch our dollars. We got to get more bang for our buck if you're like me. So I try to get as much use out of what I have on hand as I can. So what I am doing here is I am just taking that brad, and you can barely see it because it's really small, but that is a brad down there on the bottom, and I'm just holding it in place, and I'm adding those little die cut pieces all the way around. There is a hole on the end of them on those twirling vines. It's a beautiful die. I love this die. So I'm just adding the end of that into the center of that brad. I'm just kind of spreading it out, and then I'm going to secure the brad in place. And it also looks pretty as a snowflake. I don't know about y'all, but that's the first thing I saw when I kind of started putting this together, was that I could make giant snowflakes with it. So I don't know if that's just me, but again, like, you can really get a lot of bang for your buck with these dies. So once you have your bottom secured, it's all about kind of taking another brad and pulling them upward and into the center. It does all the work for you. What I do is I just kind of grab random ones. I don't like to go, you know, one and then the next one and then the next one. I kind of grab all the way around just randomly, if that makes sense, because I feel like it just gets a little bit of a better effect that way. Some are under, some are over. It just gives you a little bit better overlapping than if you do it all one by one. I ended up having one too many dies that I cut out. I had done 11 instead of 10. So that's what I'm doing there. I'm kind of like counting them and seeing, why do I have too many? It's not, you know, matching up. So I leave that one kind of hanging off to the side, and you will see me cut it. Okay, so I'm taking the brad now, and I'm going to just kind of finagle my finger in there somehow until I can push in there and squeeze the brad shut. It gets a little bit tricky. It's not really that hard to do though. And then I'm just going to cut that extra one off. So my only suggestion is just it's a little finicky when you're trying to get that last brad secured, but that's what you're left with. It's a beautiful little pumpkin shape, which is so pretty. Like I said, there's plenty of tutorials doing this with regular just strips of paper, but I felt like this was just so much prettier adding it with this beautiful die cut design. So I'm using the Amber Moon collection from Prima Marketing. That's what I did all my little pumpkins with, and now I covered a paper mache box, and I'm taking some flower sprays from different collections, some of the new Amber Moon line. I think this is an older Esperanza flower spray. I'm not even sure if anyone has this in stock anymore because it's quite old, but I'm adding alcohol ink to both of those, and they are linked below. I'm using caramel and butterscotch. Now I'm going to grab a couple of the Amber Moon flowers, and you'll see me just play with the placement and what I think looks good. I'm just adding different flowers on top of my pumpkins just to make them look extra pretty and, you know, bring them to life, I guess. I just felt like they needed a little something on top of them other than a branch sticking out. So I really, really like the way these trilling vines ended up looking as a pumpkin, and I was quite glad that it worked out that way. There's a ton of ways to use these dies, so I was very happy that this one worked, because sometimes we all know we have those things that we have grand ideas and they just don't quite turn out, but this one did, so I was quite happy. So for my adhesive, I'm using 3D matte gel from Prima for everything. It's a very strong adhesive, and even though this is just going on paper, I want this to be strong, so I'm using 3D matte gel for everything, and I typically just use my finger and dip it in there. So I have some fussy cut pieces there. That was a little fussy cut piece of acorns from the Amber Moon collection, and now I'm adding some more flowers there on top of this one. Each one kind of gets its own little different treatment, and you'll see me kind of moving things around a lot, getting those die cut pieces exactly where they need to be to look like a pumpkin. One tip I will give you is don't put too much on top of your pumpkin, or it will weigh it down and it'll kind of like squish it. So you don't want to put a lot, maybe just like a flower or two, or you know, one or two little things. You don't want to add too much because it will start to squish and it will lose that beautiful pumpkin shape that we're going for. So I'm adding some leaves there. That one was too large, so I just cut it down to size a little bit. And now I fussy cut some butterflies out from the paper collection, and I'm adding that one on the leaf there. I'm taking some clear gesso here because I forgot to clear gesso my box after I added the paper, and I am just going over the entire thing with clear gesso. The reason I clear gesso everything that I end up using is because I use a lot of alcohol ink, because I just love it. It's my favorite thing. So I need something to keep this from permeating through to the paper, or just kind of wherever you drop the alcohol ink, it will stay there if you don't have gesso or, you know, a non-porous surface. So I always give a really thorough coat of clear gesso, sometimes even 2 coats. And I did gesso, heavy white gesso, the outside of this box, not the inside, just the outside. So I'm taking some more Amber Moon flowers here and adding some more gesso on those vine pieces, because I know I'm going to add alcohol ink to those too. So pretty much everything gets clear gesso with me, and it's just my little thing. It's a habit, and it takes no time at all. So I have caramel and I have butterscotch alcohol ink there, and I spritz everything with water before I add alcohol ink. It just helps it to kind of move around, and it almost becomes like a spray of sorts. You know, after you spritz it with water, it just kind of moves and does its own thing, and I really like that about alcohol ink. It's my favorite must-have product for sure. So I'm just adding those 2 colors, which are very similar. One's a little bit darker, and I'm just adding those there. Now I'm going to start adding it to my box, kind of having it dripping down. This is a fall box, so I felt like it was a little too shabby I wanted it to be a little more grungy and then a little more dark, some more amber tones and stuff. It is called Amber Moon, so I decided to go in and add some alcohol ink along the edges and kind of let it run down. So you can see there that it's really easy to wipe off the excess because we have that clear gesso there. So I'm just going to keep going all the way around my box with the different alcohol inks until I'm happy with the look. And I did distress all the edges of my paper with the Prima Distress tool. That's another thing I always do. I should have mentioned that. So just keep adding until you're happy with it. Add as little or as much as you want. I'm taking some little pieces of twig now that I got out of my yard, and I'm adding them to the top of my little pumpkins, which I had not thought about doing, and it was actually my boyfriend who came in and he was like, they need a stem. Where's their stem? So of course I had to add that. So I have a little chipboard sticker piece there that says pumpkin, and I'm going to add it to my box. I have one of those die cuts right there from the Twirling Vine, the Spellbinders die cuts, which is so pretty. They're so intricate. Spellbinders has the most intricate, beautiful die cuts. And I'm using the Prima planner pen, the planner glue pen. That is just like my favorite thing for paper to paper, or, you know, things where you don't want a lot of glue seeping out. There's no way that I could have adhered this without glue seeping out, without using some sort of glue stick or planner glue pen here. So I'm adding that on the top of the lid, right, or on the side of the lid, just on the top portion of the box though. And now I'm adding 3D matte gel on top of my sticker piece. Even though it's adhesive already, I'm going to have this curved, so I need it to really adhere. And I'm going to show you one little trick that I have here for keeping things adhered to curved surfaces. And I try to line that up in the center the best I could. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 clothespins and I'm going to push down and make sure both sides are completely secure until that is dry. And that is the best way to keep things, you know, adhered while you're waiting on them to dry, and especially when it's on a curved surface. I'm going to take my spatula now and add a good heaping amount on top of my lid there for my pumpkin to rest on. Because it is a die cut pumpkin, there's not a lot of I guess substrate for it to really adhere to, so I had to be pretty liberal, and I'm just making sure I have it centered and kind of fluffing up my elements now that the matte gel has had time to dry, and making sure I like the placement and really making sure everything's exactly where I want it to be now that I have it adhered to the top there. So I kind of set that off to the side, and I'm marking the center point of the bottom of my box while I let the lid dry. And I'm going to add this little Ingold Balm door sign. I don't think these are in stock anywhere. It's one of those items that were just in my stash. I'm taking some twinery twine and I am going through my little piece here. You can use any little sign you have, or keyhole, or any little piece you have. Even one of those beautiful chipboard stickers from the Amber Moon collection will look gorgeous here. So I'm adding this, I'm adhering it with the 3D matte gel again. This is a metal element, so you definitely want to secure those with a very strong adhesive. And I'm going to wrap the twine around diagonally. You'll see what I'm talking about. And I kind of did it backwards after I started doing it. I was like, why did I make this so much more complicated? So you may be wondering why I did that, and the answer is I don't know. I just wasn't thinking, I guess, and just ended up making it a little too complicated. But I'm adhering this all the way around now, and I'm using the glue pen to kind of make sure the string stays where I want it to stay. And I'm just going all the way around diagonally, just like that, so that it goes all the way around the bottom of my box. I'll use my scissors here, cut off the excess that I have, and just finish gluing that in place. I hope that you guys like the tutorial. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I will most definitely answer them. I hope everything is so far so clear, because it was very easy to do. It was not a very hard tutorial at all, especially if you're just doing the pumpkins and not doing the box. It's very easy to do, and I think you'll be quite surprised at how quick and fun it is. This was very fun. I die cut a lot of these while I was watching TV at night, and it was super quick, especially with a tool in one. So you can see there, I just took the scissors and kind of, while that gel medium was still wet underneath, I just kind of pushed them under there and let that be nice and secure. And I'm also using the planner glue pen there too, as well, to make sure everything is nice and adhered and it's going to stay where I want it to stay. I like things to dangle sometimes, like chain and items like that, but sometimes you really just want things to stay put exactly where they are, and this string was one of those cases, so that is why I'm adhering it. You see what I mean now, hopefully, when I say I did this the most complicated way probably possible, and you're probably getting a good chuckle, and I'm sorry, but do this the easy way by all means, and don't follow my bad example here. So now that I have that on there, and it's nice and exactly how I want it to be, I'm going to add a few pieces of that Amber Moon vine. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of sticking a little bit of it underneath that home sign again. And I curved it to the side, and then I'm adding one more leaf there just to kind of cover up that blob of glue. One thing about gel medium is it does dry clear, so that is a great thing. If you have some excess showing, of course, get as much off as you can, but if you still have a little bit showing, it's not a big deal at all. It usually dries very clear, and I like the matte 3D matte gel better than the gloss because it's not glossy and it really does just not show up at all. So that is pretty much it, y'all. That's it for my box. I added those vines to the side, as you can see there. And once you put the lid on, take my clips off there and add the lid. And this is what you're left with. And I hope that you guys like my pumpkin box. I hope that you like the extra pumpkins. You can make a whole little pumpkin patch this way. It would make great decor. You can do larger ones, smaller ones. You can do big strips of paper, whatever you decide to use. I mean, the sky's the limit. So have a great time creating. All the links will be down below in the description bar. And have a beautiful day. And thank you for watching. Bye.